You might be here because you've seen how automations can potentially transform businesses. But let me tell you, my clients have seen the biggest results when they're not just using automation, but when they are structuring it properly. Whether you're, let's say, managing content creation, lead generation, or client onboarding, setting up predictable workflows is the key to scaling without chaos. And that is what I want to show you in this video. This video isn't sexy, but I think it is necessary. In it, I'm going to show you the best practices for setting up structured workflows inside my favorite no-code tool, which is make.com. If you want consistent results along with minimal work, this is essential. So in this video, this is what I'm going to cover. Number one is why make.com is an ideal tool when it comes to no-code for setting up structured workflows. I'm also going to cover the core principles for effective workflow design. I'm going to speak about how to design scalable workflows that grow as your business scales. And I'm also going to give you the best practices for consistently and handling errors each and every time that they come up. So if that sounds like what you're after, this is the video for you. First of all, why make.com? There is this no-code advantage. With make.com being a no-code platform, it means that you don't need to be a developer to create powerful automations. And that is powerful for a number of reasons. Number one is no-code means that it's accessible for you to get started with right away. It kind of gives you the power, even if you are a non-technical user, to, number one, build, and to, secondly, automate workflows without writing a single line of code. It also gives you, let's say, visual clarity. So it has this drag and drop interface that makes it easy to automate and visualize what you are building. So if I was to look here at my empty make.com scenario, it's easy to see and connect things together. So I can start with, let's say I have a transcription, so I start with Fireflies, then I can do something with it. So I can have an OpenAI module, and I can send it somewhere, say Gmail. So it's easy to see how things connect together and understand how data moves from one thing to another, even if you're a beginner. It's also quick to iterate between modules, between setting up what you need. Because it's no code, you can test, you can adjust, you can scale quickly without even hiring anyone. And that is different to how it used to be before. So these are the kind of core principles when it comes to structuring workflows in make.com. First of all, the foundation of a predictable workflow is or are clarity and simplicity. And here's how you can structure your workflows for this type of efficiency. Number one, think step-by-step workflow mapping. So break down tasks into modules, into steps, if you want better control. Let me give you an example. If you're managing leads, you might break the workflow down into different parts. For example, first you might have capture, then you might have qualify, then you might have follow-up. And again, if I go back here, if I have capture, maybe that would start from, I don't know, maybe using Go High Level, that watches a specific event or watches when, I don't know, a contact is created. That is kind of the capture stage. Then you might want to qualify the lead. So you might have a ChatGPT module that compares the lead and the information that the person gave you with a set of criteria. And then you might have follow-up. So you might take the information you know about the person and send the person a follow-up that is personalized for their specific needs. And like this, you can test each part of your automation on its own and then ensure that it's working correctly before scaling it up, before even putting it together with the rest of the flow. Also, it's good to think about triggers and actions. So design workflows where one action initiates a sequence of steps, and that would be the trigger. For example, just in the previous example I just gave you, a form submission in Go High Level might be the trigger to start the whole automation. Someone submits a form, and it triggers a CRM update in HubSpot. So there's always a trigger that causes a set of actions to happen. It could be, any type of trigger into Slack, or even Slack can be a trigger. Someone sends a message which triggers the whole flow. So there's a lot that you can do with this once you understand triggers and action. And then the next thing I will say is move from simple to complex. So start with simple automations and then stack them for more complex ones over time. You don't want to have the whole flow built. You don't want to have 10, 20 modules that you're kind of putting together. Let's say you have a webhook, or we have a webhook, and then we add an OpenAI completion, and then we add Google Sheets, and then we just keep adding over and over without testing. Because then, if we have errors, it's difficult to see where the error is coming from. And it makes the thing less scalable. And speaking of scalability, it's good to set up workflows that grow with your business. And what I mean by this is that scalability is about ensuring that your workflows adapt as your business grows. And the way I would suggest doing it in Make.com would be, number one, to minimize manual inputs. You should be using dynamic fields. You should be using templates to handle variable data. If someone is entering data in the way that they want and everyone is doing it that way, it's tough to have structured data. So instead of having separate automations that are trying to structure data the way you want it, why not control the way someone inserts data and that triggers the automation? If you have a form, that is a way of getting structured data. So what you want is to create something that is always structured and that processes data that way. The second thing is to use routers for branching logic. So routers on Make.com allow you to create multiple paths within a single automation based on a specific condition. So let's say that a lead comes from your website, then you can route them into a nurturing sequence. If they come from a paid ad, then you can have a faster follow-up that is sent immediately. So when you're in Make.com, it's easy to go to flow control and add a router here. So if I were to look at Google Sheets, imagine we're reading from Google Sheets and we have a column called source. If the source is website, then we might go down this route. But if the source is Facebook ad, then we might go down this route right here. And that allows you to segment and give people exactly what they need, which makes it a win-win situation for everyone. The next point is centralized data sources. So it's good to store and pull data from one central source. Think Airtable, think Google Sheets, instead of having information across a lot of different platforms. So maybe you store all your blog ideas, all your leads in one Airtable base if you want to be better organized. The tool doesn't really matter, and obviously matters less than having one single source of truth from which you get data. The next thing is handling and fail-safe measures. Make.com has quite a few error handlers and filters that you can use to essentially prevent incomplete data from breaking your workflow. If a form submission is missing, for example, is missing, some data is missing, an email, the workflow will automatically stop and notifies you that you need to review it. If you have error handlers, it will take care of that. It will not break the flow, but it will cause it to go down the route that you want. The final point is about reusability and using templates. If you can build modular scenarios that can be reused instead of having to create something from scratch, I think that's a very good practice. For example, let's say you have a send email module that has already the subject lines that you want to use, the email template that you want to use. Instead of recreating it over and over again, you can just copy that and reuse it somewhere else. Another, example. I mean, this could be pretty much used with anything here. If I just had set this up correctly the first time around, and I just wanted to copy these three modules right here and reuse them in a different scenario, all I need to do is hold down the Shift button, click and drag my mouse, and now I can copy those, and either in this scenario, I can paste them, or in a different scenario, I don't have to create them from scratch. And then I can just obviously hook them up to other modules as well. So that allows me to scale very quickly, to work with things I already know work well, and then move on from there. So those were in my opinion, best practices for building the right Make.com scenarios. Being consistent in your automations, creating modular scenarios, so you're designing reusable blocks instead of building workflows from scratch. Having standardized input and output, so your data formats are all standard, they use the same information, and it ensures that you get the right information. Things like filters and error handlers, which prevent incomplete data from breaking your workflow. These are all, again, not the sexiest things, but crucial to building automations that can scale. So in this video, I've covered a lot of the essentials for creating predictable and structured workflows, which means that you get predictable and structured outcomes. And when you're using a no-code tool like Make.com, this is important because it allows you to build solutions that work and that have the right principles for these types of effective workflow designs. So my suggestion to you would be to take the concepts from this video, take these best practices, and use them in your builds to reduce errors and to be more consistent in your outputs. So if you enjoyed this video, check out the link in the description for more information on how I can help you with AI and automation in your business. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you don't miss future ones. I'll speak to you soon.